Welcome to Think Your Way to an Epic Life. Can people change? My next guest is living proof that people can and do change. Narcissism is something that's not talked about a lot, and this is fascinating. Whether you are one, or you might be living one, or you don't know if you're one, definitely check it out. If you are a human who has had unresolved trauma in your lifetime, any time in your life, and a lot of times, guys, you don't even know that you had it. You don't even know. It can lead to narcissism. It is fascinating. Really strap yourselves in, get ready to take a ton of notes. Derek now helps people with narcissism and people who are in relationships with narcissists. And this is one of the most interesting podcasts that you will ever listen to. Share it with your friends, your family. Please like it, subscribe, give us some comments, but totally enjoy this. So, Derek, thank you so much for being here today. So my first question, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised by this, is how did you figure out that you were a narcissist?
I figured it out really because, number one, my words weren't lining up with my actions, number one. And number two, I had a complete disregard for anybody else's feelings, thoughts, or the impact that I was having on people. I was mainly just looking out for myself, making sure that I was taken care of and everybody else was at my disposal. So,
okay. But what made you realize that? I mean,
well, what made me realize it is because I had, on the outside, I had everything going. I had successful fitness career, successful fitness model, successful relationship, long-term relationship with my girlfriend. And I was doing so much self-sabotage behind the scenes as far as lying, cheating, and really just not being kind to my girlfriend or family or friends, and really just trying to make them do everything for me and give them nothing in return. So that behavior obviously creates a cascade of resistance, and eventually, people don't want to be around you anymore when you're that type of person. And so, everybody essentially kind of parted ways with me. And being in that narcissistic mindset, I was, why me? How could they all do this to me? And led me to rock bottom in a suicide attempt. And when I recovered from that, I realized the common denominator in all my life's troubles was myself. I was the common denominator. So that was a little bit of a gut check, but I came to the realization, if I'm the common denominator in all this self-sabotage and all this bad stuff, that means I can also be the common denominator in anything good that I create from my life moving forward. And so that rock bottom with the suicide attempt and me left facing me, I had to make a decision. I can either keep going this way, which clearly I know how that ends. It's not going to end well. Or I can use, the power that I have over my life to create something good and get back to the person I was and the person I knew that I was designed to be when I was put on this earth.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Basically, what was childhood like for you?
Yeah, so, and these are things I didn't realize until I started doing the work on figuring out why I was doing the things I did. So childhood-wise, from an early age, I was faced with some abandonment issues from being like 7 years old and my father going to jail for a couple years, which obviously put my mom into a single mom life, and she had to start jumping through hoops. So, trying to balance everything ended up with like her dropping me off at, like 4 a.m. outside the gates of school where I had to sleep because she had to go to work. So I'd have to sleep out there till the maintenance man came in. And then, nobody wants to be friends with a kid that has to sleep outside. And so all these points of like abandonment kept showing up in my life. Even like when my mom was dating, we would come home and all of our stuff would be gone. The boyfriend take everything, no TV, no microwave or anything. So I was subconsciously absorbing this thing that no matter what you do or how good a person you are, people will just walk away from you. And then my early 20s, when I got married, I came home and wife had taken everything. Same. So like the scenario kept playing in my head. And after that divorce, I think that was like the final straw where I, internally I was like, I'm just going to look out for myself because it does not matter what kind of person I am. So the one thing I'm going to do is make sure that I'm never abandoned again. And that's what kind of fueled the narcissistic mindset. The only thing I was concerned with is not feeling abandoned. So, which is why even though I had a great girlfriend relationship, I was still cheating on her, lying behind her back because I've learned that she could leave anytime. So I better have something else. And I did that with friends, family, all the above. And the crazy thing about it is we don't realize is when we're operating from that unhealed trauma, we'll actually manifest it into reality. So my greatest fear was abandonment. And I literally created actual abandonment based off my narcissistic behavior because of the unhealed trauma that I wasn't aware of.
Okay, so we have to go back to the unhealed trauma. I mean, that's massive. I'm learning all kinds of stuff about that.
Yeah.
But before we do, what is your definition of being a narcissist?
Essentially, actions don't line up with words, and only looking out for yourself. Okay. So if your actions aren't lined up with words, you're trying to be something you're not. One way or the other, whichever way that may be. So you're trying to do things for your own benefit and nobody else's.
Okay, so now the unhealed trauma, because that shows up in other ways too. It shows up like little physical illness and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I confess, I am so sorry to every coaching client who I've ever had that I've ever done this wrong with in the past. I was of the mindset, truly, I believed if it because I had a horrible childhood, and it's just leave it back there. Don't bring it up. Don't open it up.
Right.
Don't open it. Just leave it back there. That's not the way to do it. What is the way to do it?
The way to do it is literally, like I have my clients reconnect with that younger version of them. So like I had to reconnect with 7-year-old Derek that was on the living room floor being told that his dad's going away, right? Because at that moment, that's the first attack on us, right? And so essentially from that moment forward is where I started showing up differently, right? Before that, I was in my most powerful form as a young child, just living as I please. And then that put a tint on things. So I started showing up differently. And by showing up differently, I created more feelings of abandonment through life. So you have to go back to that exact moment. And some people, they know it off the top of their head. Some people need time and it automatically appears because it's all in there. It doesn't go anywhere. But you reconnect with that childhood version of yourself, and you start re-engineering the process, just like I did. Obviously that was big for me, my dad going to jail, but the more I reversed it and realized there's so many other ways that same feeling showed up. And then that at least gave me like, oh, dude, no wonder you acted out of being afraid of being alone. Like you've experienced that so long. So then that gave me like a direction to go, okay, so I did do these things, not an excuse, but it's behavior based on my experience. And so that's why it's so important to go back in that moment of trauma and start healing yourself through the process.
Did you do it alone or did someone help you?
No, I had a mentor. On my healing journey, I've done everything: traditional therapy, mentored by pastors at churches. I went to so many retreats all over the country. I went to couples retreats solo just trying to figure out where to go. And then eventually I had my life coach help me walk it through it. But yeah, I used every avenue to try to figure out. And obviously some didn't work and then some did. So yeah.
So why did you keep trying? I mean, like it's hard, right? It's hard. Our identity is the thing that we hang on to the most. And it's like, this is who I am. I am this fitness model dude. And now I'm going to try and be sensitive and soft and caring. And like, how much did you have internal battle and fight that?
I mean, it was a huge internal battle, but to be honest, like when I was doing so much self-sabotage, like every time I cheated or lied, it didn't bring about a good feeling. So I was confused myself, like, why do you keep doing this knowing it just makes you feel terrible about yourself? So, I knew that was a red flag that clearly I'm not operating in alignment. Like, I shouldn't have these feelings. So it really came down to I'd ask myself, is this the man that the universe created to be on this earth? This type of person? And like, I couldn't wrap my head around that. I just couldn't believe that about myself. So like, I could either continue on that narcissistic path, and I'm sure I could find new people to hang around and new girls to date, but like inside, like literally my actual spirit was telling me, like, this is not what's planned for you. This is not the impact you're designed to have on the world. And from there, it was just one step at a time.
Dude, that's beautiful. I mean, seriously, I mean that with all my heart.
Thank you.
People think that they have no power, and everyone is powerful beyond belief. And so you were a person who hurt, and every person you hurt, then they're hurt, and their life changes, and then they hurt everyone else. Now you have flipped that around, and you have become somebody who is giving life and breath and talking about something. No one talks about narcissism. Because like narcissists don't generally know they're narcissists. So
Right.
How does someone find out, oh, shoot, I am one?
Yeah. I mean, you got to take an honest look at yourself. You know what you're doing. Like, I see it a lot of time in guys. Like, they have successful businesses, successful marriages, but they have vices and behavior they're not proud of, whether that's sex, drugs, whatever. And if you feel like you're living two different lives, that's a good sign that this other side is a narcissist. Because what people also have to realize is narcissists aren't born, they're created, right? So in order for somebody to become a narcissist, certain people have to provide fuel to build that narcissist. They aren't born a narcissist. And people also have to realize that, because if I wasn't born a narcissist, that means I don't have to stay a narcissist either. Right? No matter what people say.
Yeah, absolutely. People can and do change. Most people choose not to. The average person has 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the exact same thoughts they had yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we've got that homeostasis. This is where I'm comfortable, and I'm going to go back to that. So how do you know if you're in a relationship with a narcissist?
Well, it's almost the same deal, in the sense of their words are not matching their actions. So like, for instance, if I use my story in public or in crowds, me and my girlfriend were great. I wanted to show that I was the best boyfriend ever, right? Even though I'm cheating every chance I get, even though when we go home, there's no love and affection and we don't talk, right? So there's a disconnect between what's being said and the actions, right? And that's the biggest way to tell, is that, again, it's just two different lives. This man's doing this or saying this out here, but when he comes home, it's something different. So, and that's how partners continue to fuel narcissism, is because they try to understand. They want to be a good partner. So they try to understand, oh, maybe he's struggling with something, or, he's stressed out or whatever it may be. And we kind of try to support them by almost like not giving them a free pass, but trying to be understanding, right? We all want to be compassionate, but if he's not being honest with himself and you're not really stepping in and speaking up, that's just subconsciously letting them know that his behavior is okay.
Ooh, are you listening? Are you listening? Right? Because that why do you think that? And it's not always going to be the man that's a narcissist,
Right.
But
Right.
you're talking generally, right?
Yeah.
Would you say it's more often a man than a woman?
To be honest, I feel like the tide is shifting just based on social media and all that stuff. I'm trying to think of how to word it. Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of narcissistic fuel out there for females in social media land where they can get what they need. And I don't think they do it on purpose. Whereas like men outside of social media are probably more dominantly narcissistic in like day-to-day world. Does that make sense what I'm trying?
I think I get you. So describe the Facebook page of a narcissistic woman for me.
I don't want to generalize. I just feel like we've never touched this subject on any podcast interview I've done. Just the attention a female will get on social media. And I'm saying this because like when I was a fitness model, I had tons of attention on social media and used it to do bad things, let's say, right? So I'm coming from that aspect where, you know, women will get a lot more attention just by posting specific things on social media. And if you don't know who you are, you have unhealed trauma like most of us do. And you can get on a platform and just have a rush of love and attention and people telling you how great you are, people wanting to take care of you in life. You're going to start feeling a certain way, especially if that's what's missing from the inside. Because and you don't realize that nobody can heal what's missing on the inside. So if you have a partner, he's not going to be able to heal it. But over here, you're getting all this words and value and attention off that stuff. It's going to constantly feel like, okay, I'm doing something right because I'm getting all this positive feedback, but you're still being a shitty girlfriend or wife. You know what I mean? Does that make it clear?
I'm clear, and I just want to make sure everyone else is. If you are putting things on social media that, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if we switch and just use my specific example. So like I said, obviously I had the unhealed trauma of abandonment and unworthiness, right? And then once we became a full-blown fitness model, you start getting all this attention and stuff. I have a good girl at home that loves me and all that stuff. And, you know, the more popular I get as a model, the more I start feeling about myself. Right. And the more I start lying and things aren't adding up at home. And she is trying to be supportive and understand because I have a lot on my plate or I'm struggling mentally or whatever. Or let's just say I did get caught cheating and we worked through it. Right. And again, but her working through it just tells me that I have no consequences. I can keep doing this. I can keep leaning into social media and get everything I want from that. And I can still come here and get whatever I want from her because she says it's okay. We can keep doing this. Whereas if she at the first sign was like, hell no, that's unacceptable. Things are changing. Number one, that would have saved me from rock bottom, right? Because maybe I would have made changes. But also she wouldn't have had so much sadness and hurt that I created for her if she would have put her foot down at the very first sign. So often we complain about these narcissistic people in our life, but we don't realize how we're contributing to them.
We teach people how to treat us.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I was saying about the social media. I just feel
Gotcha.
It naturally creates narcissism.
Gotcha.
If you don't know who you are.
Okay, so I have no idea what the percentages are, but I would guess. I would guess that at least 90% of humans have unhealed trauma.
Yes.
If not more, right?
I was about to say at least 90%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they think that, much like I did for years and actually told people this, I'm so embarrassed to say this publicly, but like they think it's just best to just don't bring that up again. Don't think about that. Block it out, right? if someone is experiencing a health problem or relationship problem or financial problem or whatever, and they want to explore, like, okay, I'm hearing this and I actually remember this, or I remember that happened, and maybe that is still messing with me, maybe it is. And maybe there are things that, guys, I'm trying to be so polite here, but you may not even know what happened to you. Honest to goodness. Okay, thank you. You may not even know. And when you open that up and you can release it, it's life-changing.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer. Yeah. Like I said, once you get back to that unhealed trauma, it gives you substance. It gives you understanding on why you felt this way or why certain things have happened in your life. And that's why I'm so transparent about all my stuff, because I had to rediscover all that stuff. And like you said, most people, they just try to block it out, but they don't realize it's in there. Just because you don't remember, like if you're listening to this and you don't remember your childhood trauma, it doesn't mean it's not in there. It's deeply, deeply rooted in there. And the quicker you can find it. So if your unhealed trauma is abandonment, if you flip that on the opposite, that's most in line with who you are as a person, the opposite of your unhealed trauma. Because our gifts get attacked at such an early age by the devil or the negative side of the universe. And so whatever our most powerful gifts are, they get attacked. And then when we get attacked, that's where we start adopting those limited beliefs about ourselves. That's how I adopted that I'll always be abandoned. When the opposite is true, that I can never be abandoned. And I'm here to provide community and support for people. So the opposite of abandonment is more in line with my purpose. And that works for everybody. Whatever their unhealed trauma is, the opposite is more in line with their gifts as a person.
The person you can help the most is the person you used to be.
You used to be, yeah.
So what are you doing with all this pain that you have overcome? What are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm literally coaching clients all over the world. So the great thing about my story is I'm able to help both sides of narcissism. And that's what I do. I focus on men that were in my situation that have the success, but don't have it inside and are hurting deeply. And their actions are showing that they're hurting. So I help them get back on the track and create a game plan from that point. I only need to hear about the problem once. And then from there on out, we're only focused on solutions. We don't need to backpedal any further. And then I'm also able to work with women all over the world that are dealing or recovering or are being affected by essentially guys that I used to be, narcissistic guys. So I can give them insight again on how they're adding to it, but also how to heal from the behavior of them by giving them understanding of the behavior that they experienced. And they realize that it actually had nothing to do with them as a woman. And so I'm able to help both sides. And that, I think that's the most unique and powerful gift I have, and the main reason why I was put on the journey that I was put on to be it. Because I don't feel, like you said, not many people talk about narcissism or claim to be one. And since I have ownership of everything, I use it as a platform to help others.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I mean it. It is really amazing because it is something that people they really don't understand, and they can't imagine. They see themselves as this wonderful, good person, and the truth is that's who they really are. But they have these blocks that they have to get through. So if someone, let's say someone is listening and they really feel moved by what you're saying, but they're a little scared. I'm like, I don't want to open myself up to this guy.
Yeah.
What books, what tapes, what podcasts should they start with to get the nerve up to then call you?
Well, when it comes to books, so I would suggest that they read the book, The Alchemist. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah, it's a pretty popular book. So the great thing about The Alchemist is I've read it like 12 times. So I've read it all different phases of my life. And each time it's like I'm reading a completely different story because I have new insight based on my perception. And I also love it because I recommend it to my clients to read and people close to me, and they either read it and it has the same profound effect on them as it did me, or they're like, this story's a waste of time. This is the worst book ever. And that just lets me know where they're at on their journey and how much self-awareness they have with that. So I would start with The Alchemist.
Okay.
That's where I would start.
Yeah, that's exciting. So how long have you been doing this for people? How long have you been on the other side?
Almost 5 years on the other side of the narcissism.
So in that 5 years, you've seen patterns and you've discovered things. How frequently is it salvageable? How frequently are relationships salvageable by the time they get to you and it's already at that point?
So by the time they get to my point, and relationships being salvageable is minimal, because no matter what side of the relationship they're on, they're at the point where they have completely lost themselves, right? So the relationship that they known will never happen again. Now, these two people could meet again for the first time as themselves on a whole nother scale, but that relationship that they know no longer exists. So, and when they come to me, the main thing is getting their relationship back to themselves. And then that sets them up, because when they find themselves, they're going to naturally attract the right people that are designed. So if that's their partner after they've done the work, then so be it. But I mean, one of the painful things is letting go of the expectations of once it gets to a certain point. Because like, even when I turn the corner of like, oh, I'm on this healing journey, that doesn't mean people are going to let you back in their life just because you decided to fix yourself, right? So that's a heavy blow you have to realize. Like, just because you're this new man and you want to show everybody and let everybody know, they're not obligated to essentially give a shit about it, right? Because they have their own hurt. So you do have to start with just you and yourself. And then, because I know if I present my best self to the world, that's what I'm going to attract. I'm going to attract whoever is ready for the best version of myself, instead of expecting I'm doing this so I can save my relationship.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Because you are going to be completely different people. And if you're not, then you're just going to go back into the same patterns that you did before.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure you prepare whoever you're the narcissist, I'm sure you prepare them for the fact that you shouldn't expect people to believe you. You have lied to them so many times that they would be insane to continue believing you.
Right.
You have to prove it for,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Nor do you want, like, if you're truly focusing on healing yourself and you truly care about people that you've hurt, you don't want those people to get back in the same cycle, right? You want them to be their best version, right? Because you don't want them in your life if you're doing all this work and they're still not doing the work, right? So it's kind of like you get to level each other up, and it lets me know, I find out real quick if guys are doing it for the wrong reason. I did this, but she still won't talk to me. That's not a concern. Yeah,
you're not getting it.
Yeah, we got a lot more work to do, bro.
Yeah. Oh, how cool! What rewarding work for you.
It is very rewarding. I pinch myself a lot because I spend a lot of time battling guilt and shame and self-forgiveness over my journey, and now it's created massive changes for people. So I know that I had to experience every single part for me to even get to this podcast interview. Right. Everything had to happen the way it did. So yeah, I'm very thankful that I was able to discover the good in it.
Well, me too. And I'm very grateful to have had you on the show. we will put all your information in. If somebody says, you know what, okay, I think I might have a problem here. Do you have, what are the steps? How does someone work with you?
The best way is to literally just message me on social media. I keep it super personal and organic. So you can DM me on Instagram at dnewborn, or you can just shoot me a message on Facebook at Derek Newborn. And that's the best way. We'll have a conversation on there. I see it so many times. Guys send me messages, and then before I can read it, they deleted it. You know what I mean? Because they're so close, but not right there. So I encourage you, just shoot a message. I mean, you can Google my story. There's nothing you need to be shameful or embarrassed about. I've been there. So we'll have a conversation.
I do want to back what he set up, guys. I'm a coach as well in a different arena. And it's almost like as the coach, you're not even really there. I don't know how to describe it. You go to a different place and you don't remember everything. And you're not, when you walk away from a client, you're not like, I can't believe he did that. You know, then none of that happens. And so I want you to feel safe and comfortable when you're talking to professionals like this, because we hear it. We've heard it all, and we'll hear it all again and again and again. And the only reason we're doing it is because we care and we love you, and we know that if you take certain steps, you get certain results. So 100%. Give Derek a call, and thank you, Derek, so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed the combo.
Me too. Thank you.